what's the basics or the most important things that you need to know before you interpret in business meeting, in trade fair, or anything else. I call this video being culturally aware or cultural awareness and what this exactly means. Here in America, there's best practices that talk about being culturally aware, but nobody actually train you about that. Luckily, I was trained about different culture while I was interpreting for the governments back in Europe, business to business. I'm really grateful to this company called Best Union. So if you're located in Europe, in Italy, you can try to work for them, even though the money are not so big. If you're open, you can learn a lot from them. Okay, so here in America, if there is conflict of interest, you can withdraw. There is different situations in which a person can solve the situation of a conflict of interest. Of course, let's talk about politeness. No matter how educated you are, how great you think you are, how beautiful you think you are, how important you think you are, and all these kind of things, you gotta be kind. And again, I repeat this for the ladies. A lot of ladies misunderstand that. I remember there was this Russian lady that I was supposed to test, and she had this shirt and she unbuttoned it and her breast was out and she was bending, and the client was looking at her breast, and it was very uncomfortable for everyone. Also in medical, I have seen similar situation here in America. I know in our countries, in Eastern Europe, in Hispanic cultures, in some Russian places, wearing something sexy, showing a little bit your breast is kind of considered beautiful, is considered sexy, it's kind of normal, right? Well, this is not something that you can do at your work. And being kind and polite and culturally aware, this means to modify the way you dress and present yourself in the base of the environment where you located. For example, sometimes I interpret Russian for Muslim people and I do wear something very conservative, and instead of wearing a dress, I will wear pants, because for their culture it's not considered nice or not considered good for a woman to wear a dress. It's considered kind of slutty, right? So said that, being culturally aware, it means to modify your dress of wearing in a base of where you and who you're going to meet and talk to. Okay, so let me see if I missed something here. Okay, politeness is number two things. Okay, let me talk a little bit about being polite. Again, being polite means remain within the limitations of your role. And remember, you don't have to have lunch with the buyer. You don't have to do nothing extra. Actually, if you're gonna work in a trade fair, I advise you strongly not to have lunch with your buyer, because you're not gonna have the break that your brain needs. If you're in a trade fair and you work, you would need that break badly. So if you sit and have lunch with the buyer, you have to talk with them and being polite and listen to them, and your brain will continue working. So if they invite you, I normally say thank you very much. I excuse with my working place. I say I cannot, but it's very nice that you offer. Politely say no. Number three, talking about kindness and being and looking good, I'm not intending just look beautiful, act beautiful and pleasant. Because remember, every moment you're observed, and very often when I was going to work to this trade fair, other people offer me jobs. So if you are presenting yourself professionally and nicely and pleasantly, there is a lot of people that will offer you jobs, and you will have opportunity to choose from whom pay you the most, right? But number three, do not be over friendly. And I will tell you why. I never have this problem in Europe. I had this situation one time here where I break the rules. So in Europe, in the business meetings, the buyers are there, they represent organization or government, and they're gone. and the next weeks are new buyers. So the only figure that really matter is the agency that hire you, matter in a way that you have to respond to, right? Or the company that hires you, could be a company, correct? But if you work in medical, and I know especially in Eastern Europe, in our countries it's normal to talk like some ladies talk to the patient like it's her grandpa, you know, in this kind of manner, and sit and how are you and how is your mom, tell me how is your sister, what happened, who makes you mad. It's kind of normal to gossip. I have seen a lot of Russian interpreters, they like to gossip with the client and be over friendly, especially with some lady, in order to make this lady to request them and create this kind of a friend type vibe. Well, this is not professional. If you want to be professional, you cannot gossip with your patients or with the patients that you interpret for. I avoid this. One time I had a situation with this lady, and I regret it. Honestly, I didn't want to work with her after this, but just I will give you this story that somebody shared with me, and I will give you example of how breaking these rules can affect you as professional. So there was this interpreter that went to interpret in the hospital for some lady, and the lady had cancer and a lot of health issues, and she was like very lonely, and she needed friends, and she was really over friendly with the interpreter. Actually, this interpreter shared with me that she was kind of laughing and trying to hug and all these kind of things that for our culture, tap on your hand, are kind of normal, but here in America it look a little bit strange, right? And this interpreter was feeling uncomfortable, but she wanted to be polite. After a little bit, the interpreting session ended up, and the lady said, "Okay, let's." The patient wanted to get coffee, be friends, whatsoever, and this interpreter decided to be friends with this patient. And slowly, the patient started requesting this interpreter to do different chores at her home, and the interpreter could not say no because they were at work because of her job. So have this in mind. Let me give you another cultural differences about handshaking. In some culture, it's not considered to shake a female hands, especially. And so we were talking about shaking hands and how in different cultures that could be different or maybe not appropriate. I personally didn't know that, and I was in a meeting in a trade fair where I was interpreting for Ukrainian government, and when I was introduced to the buyer, I gave my hand, and they didn't shake my hand, and I remained quite stunned. And this is how I learned that I forgot to read my notes for the day, where it was mentioned that some of the Russian high society do not use handshaking. So just having in mind with women in particularly. Same thing about Muslim culture. It's not considered polite, it's not considered appropriate to shake hands with men. Even though a lot of businessmen that come from Arab Emirates and so on, they're really emancipated, they're really applying American culture in a business meetings. Having in mind that knowing a little bit about your buyer's culture, about whoever you're gonna interpret for, it's really fundamental. So that was something about shaking hands, and I will give you something that I do every time before I go on a business meeting. I would know normally what kind of language will be and what kind of culture will be, let's say. And in base of that, I am gonna read about my client's culture. I'm gonna read about their background. I'm gonna read about basic habits that they have basic cultural differences that will eventually help me in the business meeting. So I hope this video, I believe it's number 4, about how to become an interpreter and what you need to be aware of talking about cultural differences, and how to apologize the fact that you're not willing to gossip or you're not willing to follow this cultural, especially common practices, especially coming from a small place. Thank you for being here. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. That was everything from me. Please like, share, subscribe. Write me a comment about anything specific for your culture. I would love to make a video. Write me a huge comment. I would like to know differences for your culture. I am gonna develop different videos that talk about cultural differences in the future. Thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe. Have a good day. Bye bye.